Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Prinz Adalbert yet again. I've been playing this ship off and on ever since this line got released into early access, because I've been having a lot of fun with it. And over my experience playing this ship more, I've realized, one, we take a lot of damage full broadside. That upper belt is a magnet for arming AP. The other thing I've realized is the guns are amazing. I focused so much on the secondaries in my initial coverage of this entire line that I think I undersold these main guns. Having 350mm guns with battlecruiser dispersion, little buffed Sigma as well, results in some pretty consistent main gun performance. 360-degree turret in the back and pretty good firing angles as well, at least when we're looking forward. This ship has a lot of tools that allow it to play in some very aggressive positions. You shouldn't be sitting full broadside like I am. I got caught off guard by that Annapolis, but it's still a lot of fun to get into these very tricky close quarters engagements. You have torpedoes if people rush around the corner on you. I can't wait for everyone to get access to these ships with the release of update 14.10. We got less than a month and everybody can play these things. Last week we took a look at defense, as that ship recently got added back for coal, available to direct purchase like that in-game resource. And that ship has 6 356mm main guns. I was kind of surprised by that, where Prinz Adalbert has very similar firepower. Worse dispersion, obviously, but I think our armor here is leagues better. This ship is so much tankier than the defense. And we still have pretty reasonable concealment, even though defense is just a little bit better. The main guns are obviously better on defense by a bit, but I gotta say, it's closer than I thought. I'm not even running full main gun builds. I'm fully building for the secondaries, as that is the gimmick of this line. But a main gun focused or a hybrid focused Prinz Adalbert could be very, very interesting. The reason I wouldn't necessarily want to run that all the way up through the line is that the rest of this line only gets 6 guns. I've got a bit of an issue with 6-gun ships, as you well know, so maybe just on the tier 10 for me, but it is worth trying for you guys if you're going to be grinding this line out soon. Annapolis again gonna burst us, but we get a triple Citadel? 3 hits? 3 Citadels? Hello? That's pretty impressive. It's almost like we have light cruiser DPM with the mix of having battleship level firepower if someone goes broadside to us. Even in Libertad here, that's right, 6.5 kilometers. Somehow we get the Citadel. Was not expecting that. Cheeky little reverse there, abusing the way the spotting system works. Only spotted by the highest point on our ship, which we hid behind that island. Now we're going to use our secondaries for this Minnesota, lighting fires, all that. We can do this whole light cruiser DPM thing over island cover that maybe the automated secondaries wouldn't shoot over. But if the secondaries are already firing, except at close range, I think it might be better to just let them do their thing. Allow you to focus on not being flat broadside, be a little bit more focused on your angling, your positioning, or just getting your main guns on target. As I've played more with this line, I think that's how you should be playing them. Focusing purely on using the manual secondaries at all times seems to be a bit of a misplay a lot of the time. I'm usually not as focused then on my own ship's positioning. Certainly its angling. In this kited position, Prinz Adalbert certainly struggles with a poor firing angle of those front guns, which will get me in trouble later on in this video. But we do want to use these manual secondaries at very, very close range, as well as lobbing over islands that the AI wouldn't otherwise want to go over. It allows you to aim for superstructures. That is the big key takeaway of these secondaries. I really like them overall, I gotta say. The less automated systems we have, the better. The more manual control I have over my ship and how it performs, the better, I think. It just means that maybe it's skill issue. Now that I'm kind of talking out loud about this, maybe it's just skill issue, not able to multitask on the secondaries as well as main guns, as well as my ship's positioning, which is a good thing, right? We want these things to require a little bit more skill, not just set it and forget it type of thing, which is what secondaries have felt like in the past. These still perform very, very well without fully manually control them. But we can also then blind into smokes with them. This might be the most annoying part about this new line. If you're playing a destroyer or any smoke firing ship, just having these secondaries blast you constantly. We get a lucky last hit fire there on that poor destroyer. That'll be very frustrating to deal with, I think. Hydro, obviously a very useful tool against submarines, destroyers, torpedo threat, all that. Really nice to have on a ship like this one. If we're pushing, the ship is really well set up for it. Not only defense, having those guns and comparing this ship to it. Recently played that one, but I played Schlieffen relatively recently too. And I wonder if this ship is just better at Schlieffen's role. One, it doesn't take a battleship slot, so you still have a battleship on your flank. But two, these main guns feel a little bit more consistent than Schlieffen main guns, and the secondaries feel comparable overall as far as their DPM goes. Max range into a Novosibirsk there, still getting a Citadel. It's at 20k volley. Finding positions like this one, islands around caps that we can lob over while also keeping ourselves undetected, has been my favorite way to play. I do have an ocean battle at the end of this video that I do want to show you as well, because you can make this work open water still, but I want to be using island cover. Throughout this entire line, I want to be hiding my ship as much as I can while poking out, bursting ships down, or just lobbing over them, over these islands here. Nice little 12k hit into the Freddy. This is without a main gun accuracy build, by the way. I'm still building for the secondaries primarily here. I wonder if it's the buffed Sigma. It's battle cruiser dispersion. You know, something like defense gets cruiser dispersion. This one's battle cruiser dispersion, but it's at 2.15 Sigma instead of 2.05 Sigma. That's the tendency of the shells to go towards the center of your little dispersion ellipse. And it results in some pretty consistent salvos. At least when you have 9 guns at tier 10. The tier 9, tier 8, tier 7, and 6 all have 6 guns, which is where I did not find them quite so consistent. Our deck armor being 30 millimeters of armor, as well as our bow and stern being only 27, means you gotta pick your timing. And maybe I went a little too early here. We'll see if I manage to make it through this. But I wanted to apply some pressure, as well as get some of these broadside cruisers. A Zhao broadside at 12 kilometers. Very nice dispersion. Did not lead quite enough, that's my own bad, but still very good salvo, nearly 20k into him. That's what we want to see out of a ship like this one. Punishing broadside cruisers should be what these guns are good at. We are 2 broadside to a Wisconsin, didn't realize he was focused on me, and we don't really take Citadels, but it's a lot of full pen damage. Much like against that Annapolis, if you're caught a little bit too broadside in this thing, you're gonna eat so many full pens. It's almost impossible to overpen this ship, given the way this armor works. Although I guess the Schlieffen managed it there. We got very lucky. I also want you to notice here, as the Schlieffen focuses his secondaries on me and he turns here, notice how they do 0 damage because they're hitting my belt armor. And I get to aim my secondaries up into his superstructure, consistently dealing full pen. Look at, his secondaries are doing 0. Well, okay, 307 there, but pretty much 0. Isn't that crazy? And yet I'm doing massive damage the entire time because I'm aiming my secondaries into his superstructure. So it seems like, as far as getting best value out of these secondaries goes, you want to use them manually at close range, as well as anytime they're not going to fire over islands. That has been my experience with these secondaries. The main guns should still be your focus here. 153k HP to start this. Massive hit there. Nearly so a little over 15k. Back turret, best turret, another 7k into him. It's still majority main gun damage. As I was playing this ship, the more I played it, the less I focused on purely only using this ship for its manual secondaries, because I gotta confess, that is how I played it initially. I was so excited to try it out. But as I've played it more and more just like a regular cruiser or battle cruiser, the more I've realized that this ship has a nice secondary accent. They still are the secondary damage dealers. Main guns are still the primary. I've also really noticed a frustration with the secondaries. When you switch over to manual mode, every time you have to wait for those secondaries to come back and focus on the target. You gotta wait for the secondaries to traverse back to where you're aiming. Even if you were just using them, you swap over to your main guns, fire, back to secondaries, they've already traversed back to some random, I don't know, idle animation position. It sure looks nice, I guess, having the AA mounts and secondaries animate, swinging back and forth. But I wonder if that's why every time I swap from my main guns back to the secondaries have to take forever to actually traverse back to where I want to aim them. It's really frustrating, actually. I would recommend you change that, Wargaming. I don't know. Maybe you're not going to take a look at this line for a while, but to me, that is a frustration of playing it. Why can't they just follow my aim point the entire battle, or at least stay in the last position I had them aimed, something like that? Torps do manage to finish off that Ohio, did not manage to get the nice salvo into his broadside there. Sometimes the guns will troll, and again, I am running a secondary focus build, not one on the main guns, which maybe I should be trying a fully main gun focus build and ignore the secondary build entirely and just use it at those close range situations like I've been talking about. Here we go with the Ocean gameplay. Yeah, the matchmaker's very fortunate. Okay. It's not like it's tier 10 super ships, bunch of overmatch spam, okay? But still, we're gonna try and make it work here and mostly focus on playing flanks, not playing in the middle of the map, walking into crossfires. In this one, we also find ourselves against a poor A gear. I did want to talk about that for a little bit. If you guys remember that ship when it was in testing, maybe this is why Wargaming no longer allows us to play ships while they're in the testing period, but that one had insane secondaries. They were automated. It wasn't manual like it is now, but the secondaries were crazy on that ship back when it was initially in testing, and they took that away from it. Feels bad, man. 2025 for poor A-Gear. The gimmick that it had has now been made even stronger and applied to the tech tree line, which is a nice thing, as in a month everybody will have access to it for free. It's not like you have to pay for a tier 9 premium to gain access to that gimmick, but still it feels a little bad for the old ship in this case. However, what doesn't feel bad for him is that I am so broadside, he's going to get some very nice AP full pens. If you're willing to fire your main guns from a kited position like this, your front guns specifically, you're broadside enough to take massive damage from enemy armor piercing. Even here at this angle, still a nice 10k hit from him. The secondary DPM is kind of ridiculous in this one. Still mainly focused on the secondary damage when I was playing this battle, but it did manage to give us a good time here on the Ocean map. I still want to be finding island cover, but if you're good at picking your timing on brawling and positioning your ship, not going in too early, waiting till enemies are distracted by someone else, like here in this case, the Constellation focused on someone else, the Rune pushing into maybe a crossfire. I played way in the north here. We're losing on all the caps. Maybe my own fault for not playing so aggressively earlier, but I lost a lot of HP early on as well, so I wanted to wait and pick my moment. Rune has swapped to the AP, very, very smart, so we're going to be careful of that. I also found the HE did not do amazing damage. German HE is not known for its high alpha damage, but even still, it felt like it was doing very little damage, which is why I often just stuck with the armor piercing and left the secondaries to really light a lot of those fires. Into this poor Rune here. I mean, this isn't a fair fight at all. We pen him everywhere with all our secondaries, and they will probably out DPM him as well, even if we didn't use our main guns. It's tough, man. Rune, if you're trying to grind to Hindenburg, it's got to be very difficult these days. Although it does have some nice gimmicky troll armor when he goes broadside onto us. We're not actually going to get the Citadel damage. Turtleback does work against these lower caliber guns. Maybe I aim too high here actually as well, but 5 overpens there, unfortunately. And here we're going to not quite finish him off, but our teammates will. Our Hydro is out though, and this ship is not the most maneuverable. That's the last thing I wanted to point out here. It's a strong, very powerful gun platform, main guns, secondaries, very powerful. It's reasonably quick too, but maneuverability wise, it's pretty slow. Even with prop mod, it's not fast at speeding up and slowing down, maneuvering at slow speeds around islands, that kind of thing. It's not great at that, as well as having a rather sluggish rudder. So even with Hydro in a little bit here, we're going to eat a couple of Yugumo Torps bow on. I probably could have done a better job of positioning my ship and avoiding those torpedoes, but I was a little more focused on trying to finish off this Musashi. Even though we do have 350mm main guns, the AP does not seem to have enough 10 to get through battleships until it's really, really close range, at least the tier 10 battleship hulls. So we're aiming for superstructures or at least upper belts in a lot of these cases. So it's not a full battleship playstyle. Battle cruiser, right? Makes sense. Here the Yugumo is going to get spotted by our Hydro actually. Nice feature being 6 kilometers as well. And yeah, I probably should have just paid more attention to avoiding that torpedo. lighting a decent number of fires too with these secondaries. Notably, you do not need to run IFHE on these secondaries to get them to pen 32 millimeters, something you need on Schlieffen. So a lot of flexibility in the build, especially on cruisers where IFHE is a 4-pointer, not a 2-point skill. I should have avoided these torpedoes looking back on it. I don't know if I can blame the ship there. It's probably user error. And speaking of user error, what about using manual secondaries, manually aiming my main guns and missing this Unicum over and over and over again? I wonder if, for a lot of people, the automated secondaries will be better than the manually aimed secondaries. I wonder, okay? It's not throwing shade at anyone in particular, because I'm currently missing right now, okay? If anything, it's kind of sad how long it took me to take out that Unicum. We traded out. Our team managed to clutch up the win there. Very close battle on Ocean. Made it the comeback, though. Prinz Adalbert's just so much fun. I had to play it some more. And let me know if you want to see the full main gun build. I could try that out. Personally, though, I tend to run builds focused on a line or a ship's main gimmick. Otherwise, if I wanted to play a different build that's more hybrid or not fully all in on a ship's primary gimmick, I'd go play something else. Although I did change up one thing about the build. Maybe it's not full secondary build. I think you probably could understand why. I'm not going to explain myself any further. I promise that we're not going to go into that topic again, but instead of taking top grade gunner, which you probably should be taking, I elected to go with this skill. And that is all I will say. Great concealment, just under 12 kilometer detect. And even if I didn't take a secondary build here on my equipment, we would still be able to get those manual secondaries out to our concealment range. So if we did run a more main gun focused build, you still get 11.9 kilometers on your manual secondary range, which matches our concealment. And so there's a strong argument that maybe I should just be running a build like this one. I'm yet to try it out more, though. I was not initially intending to play these games that we've got in this video for a video. I was just playing in my own time, having fun with this new gimmick, and decided I had enough fun that I want to make another video on it. Back to the commander here, though. Giving up Survivability Expert feels a little bit bad, as we are wanting as much tankiness as we can possibly get. But I don't really want to give up AR. This skill is too good. We need the extra consumables, especially because our damage control is limited. It's a benefit because it has such a short cooldown, but it is limited. And we definitely want the extra consumables. Pack a punch, of course, for that 20% extra range, as well as buffing our torpedoes up. These torps are no joke, man. 16,500 damage, 9.5 kilometers. Surprises a lot of people. They are very, very strong. And for the normal build here, actually, now that we're here, maybe I shouldn't be running main armaments mod or auxiliary armaments mod. Sure, they're going to knock out the secondaries more often, but they come back these days. And damage control party mod 1 allows me to get a little more duration here. 14-second immunity time on a German cruiser seems pretty good. I'm not sure yet. I was running prop mod instead of damage control system. I don't know why this is recommended when we have such fast damage control teams. Steering gears might be an option if I played more open water at 14-second rudder as well as 900-meter turning radius. Is a little bit painful, but given that I'm often trying to play this ship a little bit closer using island cover, I want to be able to quickly maneuver in and out around those islands with prop mod. 30 mil armor is the weakness at range if you get overmatched. A lot of HE gets through you as well. And then at closer range, if you show too much broadside, this suddenly does not become an advantage, because it's going to arm all the AP that gets fired at you. It's going to shatter a lot of HE, though, so if you run into cruisers that are shooting HE at you, then you might actually want to give more broadside until they swap to the AP and then angle. Every situation is different, of course, but overall I found this ship to be relatively tanky, although not quite as tanky as something like a Schlieffen, which in itself is nowhere near as tanky as most battleships at the tier. It's still not a full battleship. You can't play it open water, brawling, full send pushes like Libertad or something like that. You got to play it a little bit smarter. But I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I really, really hope you guys enjoy it later this month or next month when everyone gets access to these things. Really can't wait to see what the community thinks overall. But thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.